What's up, guys? It's Nick here, and welcome back to another episode of Viewer's Choice. Last week, I asked you guys, what do you think is the best champion ability in Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild? So, with that, you have Mipha's Grace, Revali's Gale, Daruk's Protection, and Urbosa's Fury. Each one of them you get after defeating its Divine Beast, and you get them from the champion itself, or I guess its ghost form. And with that, they're pretty good abilities for defeating the Divine Beast. You also get a Heart Container, but the powers themselves are unique and different from each other, and have different abilities to them. So, yeah, let's go ahead and start with number 4. Now, number 4 is Daruk's Protection with 0% of the votes, which is really surprising. No one voted for Daruk's Protection at all. And like there was a good amount of people who voted, but nobody, I mean nobody voted for Daruk's Protection. I thought there would be at least one or two, but nobody did. And maybe it's the meme because Daruk's Protection is ready to roll. It's like a meme or something, and maybe it's just bad, but people really, I guess, just don't like Daruk's Protection. I don't know if it's like the trouble they have to go through to get to Goron City to actually be able to fight its Divine Beast, but nobody likes Daruk's Protection. Anyway, Daruk's Protection basically gives you 3 defensive barriers around you, but I think it's only active when you have your shield up, so there's really no point to it, and I guess that's why no one really voted for it. I guess it's protection for your shield, so that your shield doesn't get any damage taken. It basically just protects your shield and not like really yourself, because you already have your shield up, so there's no really point of having Daruk's Protection if you already have your shield up, and that's the only way to, I think, activate it. Anyway though, overall I think it's alright. I mean, I guess you get to use it for 3 times, and I feel like it was okay. It also pushes your enemies back a little bit too when they do hit the Daruk's Protection, and pushes them back, but overall I think it's an okay ability, but I guess the other 3 are better, apparently, because, or in your guys' opinions too, as well as mine. Anyway, at number 3, we have Mipha's Grace with 26.2% of the votes. Now, Mipha's Grace is basically revive, and it's better than the Fairy, where the Fairy, I think, revives you with 5 HP. Mipha's Grace is, you get full hearts, plus I think 3 or 4, I forget which one, but you either get 3 or 4 temporary hearts, which is also good. And yeah, it only activates when you die, basically, and it's an instant revive, which is always good and good to have. But yeah, it's only a one-time use, and I think the recharge time is pretty high, meaning that it takes a long time for Mipha's Grace to get ready again. I think it's like maybe 20 in-game minutes, maybe 30, I forget exactly how much, but I guess that's why it's at number 3, is because the recharge time is pretty high, and it's really just more of a defense mechanism than, I guess, offense, and I guess that's the same thing with Daruk's Protection, and that's why they're in the bottom 2 here. Anyway, at number 2, we have Urbosa's Fury with 30.8% of the votes. Now, Urbosa's Fury is actually pretty good. It basically electrifies any enemies towards you when you do a charge up attack, but only when you do a charge up attack. This one, just like Daruk's Protection, has 3 uses to it until it recharges again. And yeah, it's pretty useful. It does a lot of damage to your enemies, but the only bad part is, I guess, is that you have to charge up your attack, which can leave you vulnerable, and it does take a while to actually charge up your weapon and be able to use it. But overall, I feel like it's a pretty good ability. It's a bit hard to get because the Divine Beast in Gerudo Desert is pretty hard to defeat. I think it's Thunderblight Ganon. He's actually really hard, especially if you take him on first or even second. He's a pretty tough challenge. Anyway though, at number 1 we have Revali's Gale with 43.1% of the votes. Now, Revali's Gale basically gives you an updraft of air to climb up mountains, and it has its uses of both in the outdoors and climbing and stuff and exploring, and also combat a little bit too, being able to escape fights and also get an air attack and being able to launch yourself into the air and get those slow motion like bow and arrow shots, which can do a lot of damage and be deadly. So I can understand why people put it at number one here, because it is very useful, especially to like get some of the towers in Hyrule or whatever. It's actually pretty hard to get some of those towers, but with Revali's Gale, it makes it a lot easier. Um, but like I said, it's also a great escape weapon. The only bad part is that you have to hold the X button and wait for the updraft to appear in order to use it at first, because it just doesn't like appear out of nowhere. You have to summon it by holding the X button, similar to Urbosa's Fury, where you have to wait until you get that charge attack in order to use it. Revali's Gale is kind of the same way. You have to have a good opening, I guess, or no one really attacking you or near you in order to use it, because you can be shot down before using it. And another cool thing about it is that even if you like use it, you can actually cancel it by running away from it. The only way it activates is if you actually use the updraft. And like Urbosa's Fury and Droog's Protection, it's able to be used 3 times before recharge. And I think it's actually the fastest to recharge, which is also really good. So there you have it. Those are the top 4, or the best in ranking of the champion abilities in Breath of the Wild. So thank you guys for voting, and yeah, those are the results. Anyway, on to this week's question. So yeah, this week I'm gonna ask you guys, what do you think is the best Metroid Prime game? Now we're getting Metroid Prime 4. It's in development for the Switch, and I was wondering, what do you guys think is the best Metroid Prime game? So you got Metroid Prime Echoes, and Metroid Prime 3 Corruption, which are all great games, and I want to see what you guys think is the best Metroid Prime game out of those 3 games. So yeah, that's gonna be it for today, guys. Thank you guys all for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to vote, and stay tuned for more viewers' choice right here on Town Nick. Bye.